Hi, welcome once more to Mr. Max. In this lesson, we are going to revise from November 2013 past question paper, November 2013 graphs and functions. So, these graphs and function questions are question number 4, 5 and 6. Okay. So, please make sure that you download the question paper and this question paper is in front of you when you listen this one, okay, this lesson. Then also one more thing, don't just watch like a movie. So it's very important that you have to take your notebook and pen, write when I am explaining something. Okay, so listen very carefully. Question number 4, 5 and 6, November 2013. Let's start. Question number 4. What is question number 4 saying? Given f of x is equal to, there is a function given like this, f of x is equal to minus 2x square minus 5x plus 3. So there is a function given like this, minus 2x square minus 5x plus 3. And what do you want to find? What are the questions? Question number 4.1. Okay, before I go to question number 4.1, what type of question, what type of graph is this, or a function is this? Minus 2x square. X square, the highest power of x is 2. So it means that this is a quadratic function. Am I right? Okay. So here coefficient of x squared at the same time it is negative. So what is the shape of the graph? The shape of the graph is like this. When the coefficient of x square is negative, in grade 10 you studied the shape of the graph is like this. If here it is positive, what is the shape? The shape is like this, U shape. You remember that one? Okay. So anyway, the given function f of x is a quadratic function and the shape is like this. Okay. So what is the first question? Question number 4.1. Question number 4.1. Write down the coordinates of the y-intercept of f. You have to find the coordinates of the y-intercept of f. So that's a simple question. You know, this f of x is the same as y. Y is equal to minus 2x square minus 5x plus 3. Okay. And the question is to find the y-intercept. So as we know, at y-intercept, what is the value of x? X is equal to, at y-intercept, what is the value of x? It's a 0. Okay. So at y-intercept, the value of x is equal to 0. So substitute the value of x as 0 in this equation, x is 0, x is 0. Okay. So y is equal to minus 2x square. Excuse me. Minus 2 into 0 square minus 5 into x, that is 0 plus 3. So excuse me, minus 2 into 0 square is 0, this is also 0, then plus 3, that means the answer is 3. So what is the coordinate now? Coordinate is equal to x0 and y3. It's a simple question, grade 10 question. Okay. So what is the coordinate? What is the y-intercept coordinate? 0, 3. Now let's go to question number 4.2. What is that question? Determine the coordinate of the x-intercept of f. So here you have to find the x-intercept. So that's also a simple question. At x-intercept, what is the value of y? Y is equal to 0. So here you have to substitute the value of y as 0. This is our equation. Am I right? Y is equal to, this is our given equation. And in that equation you have to substitute the y as 0. So 0 is equal to that one. So let me write it in the opposite way. Minus 2x square minus 5x plus 3, that is this one, is equal to, what is y? 0. So is equal to 0. So since here it is a minus, coefficient of x squared is minus, first you have to make it as positive. So how can you convert that into positive? Either you multiply throughout with a negative or you divide throughout with a negative. So anyway, negative times negative is positive 2x square, negative times negative positive 5x, negative times plus is negative 3, is equal to minus 0 means 0. Now what you have to do? You have to factorize this one. So since here it is 2x square you know, one factor is 2x and the other factor is supposed to be x. Okay, now how can you factorize this one? That I'm not going to explain much on that one in this section. If those who doesn't know how to factorize this type of quadratic equation, okay, you have to watch that algebra section. It's very important. There I explain different methods to factorize this quadratic equation. Okay, so quickly let me explain that one. You have to draw a line like this, then here you want to find the product. So what you have to do is this 2 times this minus 3. What is answer? Minus 6. I wrote it there. 2 times minus 3, that is minus 6. Then this 5, that is the sum I want. Okay, so I have to find two numbers. The product of the number is minus 6 and the sum of the number is 5. So what are the numbers, guys? Sum 5, product minus 6. So it is 3 and 2. 3 times 2, so you want the minus 6, so it is 3 times minus 2. So 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. Then 3 sorry, it can't be, so that is not possible. So we have to find another number. Product minus 6, sum 2. What are the numbers? What about 6 and minus 1? 6 times minus 1 is minus 6. 6 plus minus 1 is 5. So that is fine. Okay. So the numbers are 6 and minus 1. Okay. But you have to do one more thing. Here, what is the coefficient of x square? It is 2. Okay. So what you have to do is divide both of these numbers with 2. Okay, divide both of the, what is the coefficient of x squared here? 2. So divide both of that 6 and minus 1 with 2. You understand? Okay, if here it is 3, then divide both of the numbers with 3, like that. Okay, so what is 6 by 2? 6 by 2 is 3. What is minus 1 over 2? Just leave it like that. Okay, now this one 2x, so this 2 is this one 2x, then here it is minus 1, so there I am going to write minus 1. Okay, then here what is the number? 3, so that is plus 3. So these are the factors. Now look at this one. 2x into x is 2x square minus x, then 2x into 3 is plus 6x. 6x minus x is 5x. Minus 1 into 3 is minus 3. So our answer is correct. Okay, so here listen here, I just briefly explain this one. Try to watch again, you can easily understand. Then you have to try different questions, okay, with this type of quadratic equation, then you can understand clearly. Okay, or if you watch that algebra section, there I explain many questions like this. Okay, so anyway, this is how you want to factorize. So there are two factors, 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. So it means that either the first one is equal to 0 or the second one is equal to 0. Either 2x minus 1 is equal to 0 or what? Or the second one, x plus 3 is equal to 0. So from here, what is 2x? Take this minus 1 to the other side. So it is positive 1. From here, what is x? Divide both the sides with 2. So 2 cancel, 1 divided by 2. Then here, take this plus 3 to the other side. So it is going to be minus 3. So the x values are 1 over 2 and minus 3. There are two x values you got. 1 over 2 and minus 3. Okay. So what is the coordinate? Therefore, coordinate is equal to, here we are trying to find the x-intercept. So what is the y value? Y value is 0. So first one is half comma 0 and the second one is minus 3 comma 0. Okay, so those are the x-intercept. Okay, so x-intercept is 1 over 2 comma 0 and minus 3 comma 0. And what is the y-intercept? 0 comma 3. Okay, so let me write that y-intercept also here. This is the x-intercept. This is the x-intercept. Okay, and what is the y-intercept we got in question number 4.1? 0, 3. Okay, so that is question number 4.2. This one is question number 4.2. Okay, now let's go to question number 4.3. Before I go to question number 4.3, let me write this one once more here. So x-intercept, what are the x-intercept we got? 1/2, 0 and -3, 0. And y-intercept, what we got? 0, 3. Okay, so let's leave it there. We want that one to draw the graph. Okay, now what is question number 4.3? Question number 4.3. 4.3. What is that question? Determine the coordinates of the turning point of f. You have to find the coordinates of the turning point of f. So here in this question, in different methods you can use to find the turning point. Okay, one easy method, since this one is given as a quadratic equation. Okay, one easy method is first you have to find the x value of the turning point, then you can find the y value. Okay, so do you remember what is the formula? There is a formula to find the x value of the turning point. You know, turning point means this is the shape of the graph and this point is known as the turning point. Okay, so what is the formula to find the x value of the turning point? Do you remember a formula like this? Minus b divided by 2 times a. Okay, so x is equal to minus, what is this a, b? So you know that this one is a, this -5 is b, and c is 3. A is -2, b is -5, and c is equal to 3. So substitute here minus b. What is b? -5 divided by 2 into a. What is a? -2. You understand? Okay, so here x is equal to, minus into minus is positive 5, 2 into -2 is -4. So x is equal to, that is the same, this one is the same as -5/4. Doesn't matter positive here or negative here, I mean negative here or here, the same thing. Okay, so it is -5/4. So check in your calculator what is 5/4. Okay, so so that is the x value of that turning point. Okay, x value of the turning point is -5/4. Now we have to find the y value. How can we find the y value? Once if we get the x value, then we just substitute in that equation, then we will get the y value. Am I right? Okay, so therefore y is equal to, this f of x is the same as y. -2x square, -2x, what is x? -5/square. -5x, x is -5/4 plus 3. So check in your calculator what is the answer of that one. Okay, so in your calculator you will get 49/8. 49/8. So that is the y value. Okay, so y value is 49/8 and x value is -5/4. So what is the turning point? Therefore turning point is equal to -5/4, 49/8. So write the answer in a decimal form, that is more easy for you to draw the graph. Okay, so check in your calculator what are the answers. -5 divided by 4, that is -1.25. This is -1.25. 49 divided by 8, that is 6.125. 6.125. So those are the turning points. Now what is the next question? 4.4, sorry, question number 4.4. Question number 4.4. What is that question? Sketch the graph of y is equal to f of x, clearly showing the coordinates of the turning point and the 3 intercepts with the axis. Okay, so you have to sketch the graph. So this is the y axis and x axis, This is y-axis, this is x-axis. What are the x-intercept? Half comma 0, positive half, yeah. So it is, this is 1, so half means somewhere here. This is 1, 2, like that, okay. So half is here, then minus 3. So this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. So minus 3 is somewhere here. Then what is the y-intercept? 0, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's say this is 0, 3. Now what is turning point? Minus 1.3. Minus 1.3 means between minus 1 and minus 2, somewhere here. Then y is 6, or minus 6. So this is up to, assume that this one is 6, okay, 4, 5, 6, okay. So minus 1.3 minus 6.2, somewhere just after that 6. Then you have to connect all those. This is the y-intercept and this is the, so these are the x-intercepts, this is the y-intercept, and this one is the turning point, okay. So it's better to write all the coordinates there. So what is the coordinate of this one? Minus 3, 0. What is this one? Minus 1.3, I round it off, that one, 6.1. Then this one is 1, 0, and this one is 0, 3. So that is the graph of f of x, okay. So that is question number 4. Now we have to go to question number 5. Okay, question number 5. Question number 5. What is that question? Sketched below are the graphs of g of x is equal to k raised to x, where k is greater than 0, and y is equal to g raised to minus 1 x, or g inverse of x. 2, 3 is a point on G. Okay, so there is an equation g of x is equal to k raised to x, and another equation y is equal to g inverse of, that means this is g of, so g inverse of x, okay. So there is a graph given like this. This is the x and y axis, and there is a graph going like this, and that is g of x graph, and there is a point here 2, 36, and there is an inverse graph like this, and that is g inverse graph. So this point is 1. So here okay, that is g inverse, so it is going to that side. Okay, so this is the given graph, and these are the equations given, and based on that one we have to answer the following question. 5.1.1, first question. 5.1.1, what is that question? Determine the value of k. You have to find the value of k. So where is this k? K is g of x is equal to k raised to x, that means this one, okay, our given g of x graph, okay. So here on that g of x graph, k lies there, g of x is equal to k raised to x. So how can you find g of k, the value of k there? G of x is the same as y, so y is equal to k raised to x. Do we know any point on that g of x graph? Yes, we know there is a point given 2, 36. So substitute in this equation, y is equal to, that means 36 is equal to k raised to x. What is x here? 2. So k raised to 2. 36, I substituted that point 2, 36. So this 36, how can we, here k raised to 2. So if we can write something raised to 2, then we can equate the bases, okay. So what is this 36? 6 raised to 2, am I right? 6 raised to 2 is 36. So is equal to k raised to 2. So here we can see that the powers or the exponents are the same. So what is the meaning of that? The bases are also the same. So it means that, it implies that the value of k is equal to 6. Okay. So now our equation is g of x is equal to 6 raised to x. Okay. Next question, 5.1.2. What is that one? Give the equation of G inverse in the form of y is equal to. So you have to write the equation of G inverse in the form of y is equal to. So y is equal to, now let's write this equation once more. Okay, g of x, what is g of x? G of x is equal to k raised to x. K raised to, we already know that k is 6, so it is 6 raised to x. Now g of x is the same as y. Y is equal to 6 raised to x. What is the question here? Give the equation of G inverse in the form of y. You have to write the equation of G inverse in the form of y. Okay. So to write the equation of G inverse, what you studied in your class? To write a G inverse, how can you write G inverse? This is what? This one is g of x, am I right? This one is g of x. And how can you write G inverse? You have to swap x and y, am I right? To write a G inverse equation, you have to swap x and y. So this y you have to write it as x is equal to this 6 raised to this x, you have to write it as y. So x is equal to 6 raised to y. But look at the question. They want the answer, give the equation of G inverse in the form of y is equal to. They want that this is actually this is G inverse, okay, but you want to convert this one in the form of y is equal to. That means you have to write the answer in this y. Okay, so how can you write that one? You have to take a logarithm, am I right? Okay, so how can you take a logarithm of this one? So try to understand like this. If you want to write the answer of this y is equal to, it is very easy if you understand how to write this. Excuse me, log of, look at how I am going to write y is equal to this y. Okay, this y is equal to log of this x to the base 6. This is how you want to write the logarithm. Okay, x is equal to 6 raised to 5. So how can you write y? Y is equal to log of this one. Okay, log x to the base 6. So now that is the answer. Okay, another example, y is equal to 3 raised to x. How can you, I'm sorry, not a, y is equal to, x is equal to, okay, x is equal to 3 raised to y. How can you write this equation in terms of y? Y is equal to log of this one, log x, then what is the base? Base is 3, like that. Excuse me. Okay, that is just an example that I said. This is the answer. Okay, y is equal to log x to the base 6. Okay. Now let's move to the next question, 5.1.3. So this is the equation, y is equal to log x to the base 6. Let's move to next question, 5.1.3. Okay, question number 5.1.3. 5.1.3. What is that question? For which values of x is G inverse of x is less than or equal to 0? You have to find the values of x where G inverse of x is less than or equal to 0. That is the question. Okay. Now, before I explain that one, tell me what is the coordinate here at this point? It is given that this is 1. So what is the coordinate there? This is the y-axis. So x value is 0. So here x is 0 and y is 1. That means 0, 1. Now, how can you find the G inverse? Previous question I explained. How can you find G inverse coordinate? You swap x and y. Am I right? Okay. So this is G of x graph. This is G inverse of x graph. This one is G of x graph. This one is G inverse graph. Okay. So if here the coordinate is 0, 1. What about here the coordinate? You swap x and y. Am I right? This is a reflection. Okay. So you swap x and y, that is 1, 0. That means here the y value, here it is inverse graph, it is x. Here the x value inverse graph, that is y. Okay, so at this point, what is the coordinate? 1, 0. Do you agree that one? Okay, now let's try to understand one more thing before I explain this 5.1.3. If you draw a graph like this, okay, when can you say that the graph is negative? Less than or equal to 0 means it is negative. Am I right? Okay, a graph is negative means when it is, this is the x-axis, okay, when it is below x-axis. A graph is negative means it is below x-axis. So here you can see that from there the graph is below x-axis. Am I right? Okay, and at the same time here you can see that this y-axis is an asymptote for this logarithmic graph, g inverse graph. It won't touch on this y-axis. It is going like this, going down. Okay, so it won't touch this g inverse graph, never touch this y-axis. Okay, so listen once more. When can you say that a graph is negative? When it is below x-axis. Okay, at this point what is the x value? At this point what is the x value? 1. Okay, now look at the question. You have to find the x value. Here what is the x value? 0. Okay, so you have to find the x value when this g inverse, this is our g inverse graph. Okay, this g inverse of x is negative. Negative means below x-axis. So you have to find the x value, this x value when g inverse is negative. So here you can see that from here to this side g inverse is negative. Am I right? So from here to this side means between which value? Between 0 and 1. X value is between 0 and 1. G inverse is below x-axis, that means negative. Okay, so at the same time, is it possible for this g inverse graph to touch this y-axis? No, because now this y-axis is acting like an asymptote, so it can't touch on this y-axis. Am I right? Okay, so the value of x is between 0 and 1. So you have to be careful. 0, you can't write it less than or equal to, because this graph never touch the y-axis. So 0 less than x less than 1, here less than or equal to, so you can include this one. Okay, no problem to include this one. Okay, so less than or equal to 1. So when the value of x is between 0 and 1, the graph is on the negative part. You understand? So that is the answer. Between 0 and 1, the graph is negative or less than or equal to 0. G inverse of x graph is negative or less than 0. So this one you must be careful. If you write it like this, then the answer is wrong, because this graph never touches the y-axis, because this y-axis is an asymptote. Okay, so if you write it like this, that is wrong. What is the correct answer? 0 less than x less than or equal to 1. So guys, that is question number 5.1.3. Next question, question number 5.1.4. Write down the domain of h if h of x is equal to g inverse of x minus 3. So let me draw that graph quickly once more. Only g inverse of x graph. I want only g inverse of x graph. Okay, so this is the point x is equal to 1, and this is our g inverse of x. Okay, so that is our g inverse of x graph. Now here this question is, write down the domain of h. You have to find the domain. What is the meaning of domain? Supposable x values. Am I right? Okay, so you have to find the domain of h. So this is g inverse, not h. Okay, so this h is a new graph. Okay, and if what is that h? H of x is equal to g inverse of x minus 3. Okay, so now before I go to that question, what is the domain of this g inverse of x graph? What is the domain of g inverse of x? Here you can see that this is x0. Domain means you have to find the x value. Am I right? Okay, so here what is the domain in this g inverse of x graph? What is the domain? Is it possible for this graph g inverse to cross this y-axis? No. because this y-axis is an asymptote for this g inverse of x graph. It can pass very close to this y, but it won't touch that y-axis. Am I right? Okay, so it means that the x value must be greater than 0. Am I right? In this g inverse of x. So if somebody asks what is the domain of g inverse of x graph, so what you are supposed to write, domain x is greater than 0. You must have to write x greater than 0, not greater than or equal to. Don't, if you write it like this, greater than or equal to, that is wrong, because this graph never touches this y-axis. Y-axis means x0. Okay, so if you write it like this, it is wrong, but if you write it like this, that is the domain of g inverse of x graph. Do you understand that one? Okay, so domain of this g inverse of x graph is x is greater than 0, because it won't go on this side, negative side. Okay, now here you have to find the domain of h, and what is that h of x? H of x is equal to g inverse of x minus 3, g inverse of x minus 3. So here at this point, what is the x value? X is equal to 0. Okay, so now what is the meaning of x minus 3? X minus 3 means that the graph is, this g inverse of x graph is shifted 3 units to the right. Don't misunderstand there. Minus 3 doesn't mean that it is to the left. Okay, you have to just opposite of what we are thinking. Okay, so when it is minus 3, you have to understand that the graph g inverse of x is shifted 3 units to the right. Am I right? Okay, so here from here, when it is 1, where is asymptote? This 0. Okay, don't forget that. Okay, so 3 units to the right. So from here 1, that is 2, 2, 3. Now the graph is passing through that 4. Now the g inverse of x minus 3, this is g inverse of x minus 3. This is the new graph g inverse of x minus 3. That g inverse graph is shifted 3 units to the right. Okay, now can you say what is a new asymptote? Is it not this one? Asymptote also, when a graph is moving to the right side, the asymptote also moving. Am I right? Okay, so previously g inverse of x graph, this was our asymptote, that y-axis was our asymptote. So that y-axis also moved 3 units to the right. That means 1, 2, 3. Now the new graph h of x, this is the asymptote. Am I right? So what is the domain now? Domain is x greater than 3. Do you understand? Okay, so in this h of x, g inverse of x minus 3, what is the domain? Domain is, domain x is greater than 3. X must be greater than 3, because this g inverse of x minus 3 graph never touches this asymptote. So it must be greater than 3. So here also, if you write greater than or equal to 3, that is wrong. Then you are saying that g inverse of x minus 3 touching that x is equal to 3. No, it won't, because that one is an asymptote. Okay, so this is the answer, domain x is greater than 3. Okay, so that is question number 5.1.4. Now let's next question, 5.2.1. 5.2.1, sketch the graph of the inverse of y is equal to 1. Sketch the graph of the inverse of y is equal to 1. So when you read that question, maybe you think it's a very big question, something different. Nothing. Okay, how can you find the inverse? Inverse means you have to swap x and y. Okay, so here the question is, you have to sketch the graph of the inverse of y is equal to 1. What is inverse? You have to swap x and y. So inverse of y is equal to 1 means that is x is equal to 1. Instead of this y, you have to write x is equal to x, then x is equal to 1. That means in effect the question is to draw the graph of x is equal to 1. That's all. Okay, so how can you draw the graph of x is equal to 1? assume that this is the x-axis and this is the point 1. Okay, so you have to, this is the y-axis, so this is the graph of x is equal to 1 and this line is known as x is equal to 1, you know that. Okay, if it is y is equal to 3, what is a how can you draw that graph? This is 3, assume that this point is 3, then this is y is equal to 3, x is equal to -5. How can you draw? Assume that this point is -5, then this line is x is equal to -5. Do you remember that one? In grade 10 you studied. Okay, so here the question is, draw the inverse of y is equal to 1. So what is the inverse of y is equal to 1? How can you write? You swap x and y. That means instead of this y you have to write x. X is equal to 1, then you draw this line. Don't draw this one, I just give you another example. Okay, so this is the answer, x is equal to 1. Okay, that is question number 5.2.1. now next question, 5.2.2. Question number 5.2.2. what is that one? Is the inverse of y is equal to 1 a function? Motivate your answer. Okay, so let me draw that graph once more. This is the x-axis and this one is the y-axis, and assume that this is the line x is equal to 1. This is the line x is equal to 1. Okay, now what is this question number 5.2.2? Is the inverse of y is equal to 1 a function? Motivate your answer. So inverse of y is equal to 1 means this x is equal to 1. Okay, is this x is equal to 1 is a function or not? So look at this one. I'm going to take a x as 1 when x is equal to 1. Okay, so okay, let me write it here, x y. Okay, so I'm going to take the x value as these are the x values, these are the y values. Okay, so I'm going to take x as 1. So here you can see 1 2 3, these are the y values, -1 -2 -3. Okay, so when x is equal to 1, y is 1, that means this one is related to 1. Okay, then when x is equal to 1, y is 2 also, so this one is related to 2 also. Then x is equal to 1, y is equal to 3 also. Am I right? So this one is related to 3. Similarly, -1, -1 is related to -1, -2, 1 is related to -2. Am I right? -3. Okay, that means for one x value, there are many y values. So if it is like that, is it a function? No. If it is to be a function for one x value, only one y value, then we can say that it is a function. But here you can see that for one x value 1, there are many y values, or you can say that no, it is not a function because the vertical line test failed. That is also you can write. Okay, so anyway, it is not a function because for a one x value you are getting many y values, so it is not a function. Or how you want to write? No, it is not a function. And what is the reason? Vertical line test failed. You can write it like this also. Okay, vertical line test failed. Or what is an no, for one x value there are many y values, so it is not a function. Okay, anyway you can write. So that is question number 5.2.2. now let's go to question number 6. Okay, question number 6. A sketch of the hyperbola f of x is equal to x minus d f of x is equal to x minus d divided by x minus p. So they are saying that this f of x is a hyperbola, okay, where d and p are constant, that means numbers, is given below. The dotted lines are the asymptotes. The asymptotes intersect at a p and b 2 comma 0, and b 2 comma 0 is a point on f. Okay, so first let me draw that graph roughly here. This is our x and y axis. This is y-axis and this one is x-axis. Then there is an asymptote passing through the point -1, and there is another horizontal asymptote, and the graph is something like this. Then there is a, and this point is b 2 comma 0, and this is the point a -1, this is the point p, and this point is the y-axis. Okay, so this is the graph of f. Okay, so now guys, look at this one. This is the given graph. Okay, so based on this one you have to answer the following question. So here you can see that this one is a horizontal asymptote. We don't know what is a y value here. Okay, but vertical asymptote, you know that x is equal to -1. Here it is given that this point it is -1. Okay, vertical asymptote we know. Now what is the first question? 6.1.1. Question number 6.1.1. Determine the values of d and p. You have to find the values of d and p. So here how can you find the value of d and p? So look at this one. This f of x is the same as y. Y is equal to x minus d divided by x minus p. Okay, this is p. That is y is equal to x minus d divided by x minus p. So here do we have any points to substitute? Yeah, there is a point here. We know that point is a point on this f of x graph. So we can substitute the x value as 2 and y value as 0. Y value is 0. That means I'm going to substitute that point 2 comma 0. So at b, okay, let me write it properly, or you can write it like this also. Substitute b 2 comma 0. So what is that one? 0 is equal to x. What is x here? 2 minus d divided by 2 minus p. Okay, so now here what I did, I substituted the values of x and y, x as 2 and y as 0. This point, that point is a point on that f of x graph. Okay, so now if you cross multiply this one, this 2 minus p times 0, what is that? 0 times anything is 0. That means that one is gone. Okay, so next step, 0 is equal to 2 minus d, because I cross multiply this 0 with this 2 minus p. So 0 times 2 minus p is 0. That is this one. Okay, so take this minus d to this side. So it is positive d is equal to 2. So we got the value of d as 2. Okay, so now write that equation once more. Therefore y is equal to x minus 2 divided by x minus p. Okay, so now listen here. We got the value of d as 2. We have to find the value of p now. Okay, how can we find the value of p? That is what we have to think now. Okay, now just hold on that one there. Okay, now look at this graph. What is this -1? What is that -1? That's a vertical asymptote. What is the meaning of vertical asymptote? On that x is equal to -1, you can't find any graph, or it is undefined. Am I right? That is the meaning of the asymptote. So it means that when x is equal to -1, the graph is undefined, or f of x is undefined. F of x is the same as y. At what value of x? When x is -1, f of x or y is undefined. When x is -1, when x is -1, because that's the asymptote given in the graph. Okay, so you have to understand that when x value is -1, the graph f of x is the same as y is undefined. Okay, so now this y to be undefined means what? How can this y be undefined? Look at this one, a fraction. A fraction is undefined means what? When a fraction is undefined, just tell me when a fraction is undefined. If I write a number like this, check in your calculator, what is answer? Maximum error. Am I right? Okay, so it means that if the denominator is 0, the graph is undefined. Am I right? I mean, whatever may be graph or fraction. Okay, 5 divided by 0, undefined. -6 divided by 0, undefined. X minus 2 divided by 0, undefined. Okay, so it means that if this y value is undefined, means this x minus p must be 0. Okay, and what is the value, which value of x? -1. Am I right? When it is -1, it is undefined. That means when it is -1 here and here, okay, this x minus p is undefined. Okay, so let me substitute that -1 here. Y is equal to -1 x axis. Okay, so this x minus p, when that x minus p is 0, or at what value of x? Don't forget that when x is -1, it is undefined. Okay, so we have to substitute the value of x as -1. Okay, so when that -1, let me say it like that. Okay, instead of this x minus p, let me say -1 minus b, because I know that when x is -1, it is undefined. Okay, so this function is undefined when this denominator is 0. So what is the denominator? -1 minus p, okay, is equal to 0. Do you understand clearly? Okay, why we can say like this, -1 minus p is equal to 0? Once more, this x is equal to -1 is the asymptote. Am I right? What is the meaning of that? On that asymptote, x is equal to -1, we can't find any graph, or it is undefined. The graph is undefined. Graph is f of x. F of x is the same as y. So this y is undefined means that this x minus p, the denominator must be 0. Okay, so this x minus p is equal to, okay, you can write one more step, x minus p is equal to 0. Okay, at x is equal to -1, x minus p is equal to 0. So what is the value of x? -1. Okay, so what is that now? -1 is equal to, take this minus p to the other side, so it means that the value of p is -1. It implies that the value of p is equal to -1. Okay, so that is question number 6.1.1. okay, now let's go to the next question, 6.1.2. question number 6.1.2. so here before I can start doing this one, what is the value of p? P is equal to -1, and what is the value of d we got? 2 or minus 2? The value of d is 2, positive 2. Okay. So in the previous question 6.1.1 we got the values of d as t and p as minus 1. Okay. Now what is this question? Here 6.1.2, show that the equation of f can be written as y is equal to minus 3 divided by x plus 1 plus 1. You have to write the equation of this f of x like that. Okay. So anyway, what I am going to do is let me write that equation once more. F of x is equal to x minus d. What is d? 2. So it is x minus 2. I am going to substitute that x minus p. X minus p. P is minus 1. Okay. So now f of x is equal to x minus 2 divided by minus into minus is plus x plus 1. Okay. Now we have to write like that, minus 3 divided by x plus 1 plus 1, like that. Okay. Look at the question. Okay. So now how can I write, like I can see our x plus 1 there, but from where to get that minus 3 and plus 1? So if they want to get to plus 1, okay, leave this one. So it means that the numerator and denominator somehow equal and they cancel that one and they got 1. Okay. So now I'm checking, is it possible to cancel something? Here I can't cancel this x and x, you know that. I can't cancel this x because it is minus plus like that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is here also I can see a minus 3 there. Am I right? Minus 3 here. Okay. So let me write it something like this. X plus 1 minus 3. So what is this plus 1 minus 3? What is plus 1 and minus 3? 1 minus 3 is minus 2. That is this minus 2. Okay. Then divided by x plus 1. So it means that numerator minus 2 I wrote it as plus 1 and minus 3. Plus 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is here I'm going to combine this one as 1 unit and this one is another one. Okay. So in small classes, and it is separated with a minus. Okay. In small classes you studied something like this, a plus b divided by 2. How can you split this one? You can write it as a by 2 plus b by 2. Am I right? Okay. So similarly what I'm going to do is I'm going to split like this. This is my 1 unit. Okay. So x plus 1 divided by x plus 1. Okay. Then this is a second unit, minus 3 divided by x plus 1. A by 2 plus b by 2, like that. Okay. X plus 1 divided by x plus 1. I combine this one as 1. Okay. And this one is separate. Okay. Minus 3 by x. So here you can see this x plus 1 and x plus 1 cancel. What is answer? It is 1. Okay. So now let's write that one first. It's the same thing. Okay. So let me write this one first. That is minus 3 divided by x plus 1. Then here it is plus, and that is what we want to prove. Okay. So now what is our equation? This one is going to be minus 3 divided by x plus 1 plus 1. Okay. Okay. So now we proved that one. Now let's go to 6.1.2. Question number 6.1.3. Question number 6.1.3. What is that question? Write down the coordinates of P. You have to write the coordinates of P. So where is this P? P is here. That is the intersecting point of the asymptote. So it is easy to find the x value of this point because x value is directly given. It is minus 1. Am I right? Okay. So at this point the x value we know that it is minus 1. Okay. So what about the y value? Yeah, look at this one. Now we know the equation. That is that x value is opposite of this sign. There it is plus 1. So what is the asymptote? X is equal to minus 1. Okay. And here that is a y value. That is the second asymptote. Okay, horizontal asymptote. What is the horizontal asymptote? That sign itself is the same thing. Plus 1 is plus 1. So y is equal to positive 1. Okay, so x is equal to opposites. Here it is plus. So what is the equation of the asymptote? X is equal to minus 1. What is asymptote here? Here it is positive 1. So here also you have to write a positive 1. Okay, so what is the coordinate of p? P is minus 1 comma 1. Okay, so that is 6.1.3. Coordinate of p is minus 1 comma 1. Okay, now let's go to the next question, 6.1.4. 6.1.4. Okay, next question, 6.1.4. 6.1.4. What is that question? Write down the coordinates of the image of b 2, 0 if b is reflected about the axis of symmetry y is equal to x plus 2. So you have to write the coordinate of the image of this point b 2, 0, and what is that image of b? If b is reflected based on the axis of symmetry y is equal to x plus 2. What is the meaning of that one? So they are saying that this y is equal to x plus 2, x plus 2 is the axis of symmetry, equation of the axis of symmetry. So what is the sign of x? Here it is positive. Okay, you know, for a hyperbolic graph like this, okay, how many axes of symmetries? There are two axes of symmetry. One is this one, y is equal to x or x plus 2 or x plus 3. Okay, so anyway, this is an increasing graph, that is why here it is plus. Okay, and the second axis of symmetry is like this. This is y is equal to minus x. That means it's a decreasing axis of symmetry. This is an increasing axis of symmetry. Okay, so anyway, try to understand that axis of symmetry, there are two axes of symmetry, y is equal to positive axis of symmetry and negative axis of symmetry. At the same time, if there are asymptotes, okay, axis of symmetry always passes through the intersecting point of the asymptote. Okay, so the axis of symmetry that they are talking, okay, it is supposed to pass through this point P, because that is the point of intersection of this vertical asymptote and this horizontal asymptote. Okay, so and it is an increasing because here it is positive. Okay, so it means that there is an axis of symmetry passing through that point. Okay, and they are saying that the equation of this axis of symmetry is y is equal to x plus 2. Okay, now this point B is reflected based on that axis of symmetry. So you can see that reflection is supposed to come somewhere here. Reflection of this B is supposed to come somewhere here on the graph. Okay, so assume that this is the point, the reflection of that B. Okay, so this is, let me say that is B dash, and the question is you have to find the coordinate of that B dash. Okay, so now try to understand like this. What is this 2? X value 2 means, x value 2 means this distance is 2. Okay, so here so what about this distance? This is also, what is here? This point is this is minus 1. Okay, so here this distance is 2 centimeter. Okay, so B 2, 0, here the x value is 2. What is the meaning of that? The distance from this y-axis to that point, this length is 2 centimeter. Am I right? Okay, so you have to understand one thing. On the reflection also, the distance from the y-axis, this is the y-axis, and to that reflecting point is also supposed to be 2. Okay, here what is this B 2 stands for? the distance from the y-axis, okay, or this from the origin to this one, this distance is, the meaning of these two means this distance is 2 centimeter. Okay, so on the reflected graph also, that distance from the y-axis to that reflected point is also supposed to be 2. You understand? This one is also supposed to be 2. Okay, since here this point is on the negative side, am I right? So even though the distance is 2, what is, or how you want to write the coordinate? It's minus 2. You understand? Because that is on the x value is on the negative side. Okay, so x value of the reflected point is minus 2. Now how can you find the y value? You know, that point b dash is a point on this f of x graph, am I right? Okay, so to find, we know at that point what is x value? Minus 2. So you can easily find the y value. Therefore y is equal to, you substitute in this equation of that hyperbola, that means minus 3 divided by, okay, let me write the equation once more, plus 1. So y is equal to minus 3 divided by, instead of x I am going to substitute minus 2. I want to find the corresponding y value. Okay, so what is the answer? Check in your calculator. Minus 3, this is divided by minus 1 plus 1. So minus 3 by minus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. That means y is equal to 4 at this point. So what is the meaning of that? What is the coordinate of b dash? Minus 2 comma 4. Okay, that is the coordinate of the image of that b based on the reflection y is equal to x plus 2, axis of symmetry. Okay, so that is question number 6.1.4. Now let's go to 6.2. Question number 6.2. The exponential function g of x is equal to, there is an exponential equation given, g of x is equal to p into 2 raised to x plus q. That is, you know that the power of x, power is the variable, so it's definitely is an exponential function. Okay, has a horizontal asymptote y is equal to 1. So it is given that the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 1. Okay, so here in this equation, what is the horizontal asymptote? You know, in your class you studied this q stands for the asymptote. That means y is equal to q is the asymptote. And here they are saying that y is equal to 1 is a horizontal asymptote. So what is the value of q? It is 1. Okay, so now we can write this g of x is the same as y. Y is equal to p into 2 raised to x plus 1, because it is given that y is equal to 1 is a horizontal asymptote. Okay, now what you want to find? And passes through the point 0 minus 2. So this exponential graph passes through the point 0 comma minus 2. And what is the question? You have to find the values of p and q. Q we already found. What is the value of q? It is 1. So outstanding is this p. And what we have to do for to find the value of p? We have to substitute that point 0 comma minus 2. We did many questions like that. Okay, so substitute 0 comma minus 2. So what is that one? Minus 2 is equal to y, minus 2 is equal to p into 2 raised to x. What is x? 0 plus 1. Any number raised to 0, what is the answer? It's 1. Am I right? Okay, so that is minus 2 is equal to p into 1 plus 1. P times 1 is p. Okay, so now that is minus 2 is equal to p plus 1. Take this 1 to this side. So minus 2, 1 on the other side, it is minus 1. So is equal to p. Or p is equal to minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. So what are the values of p and q? P is equal to minus 3 and q we already got as 1. Okay, so that's an easy question. So that is question number 6.2, and I think that's the end of that question paper, November 2013. Okay, so guys, I hope you understand clearly. Okay, so thank you for watching. See you on the next lesson.